Internet, my name's Lave, and this week I watched Suicide Squad, the third film in the DC cinematic universe, following on from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And with that in mind, there might be some spoilers for Batman v Superman in this review, so if you haven't seen that, then you should probably stop watching. But there isn't going to be any spoilers for Suicide Squad, so let's get to it. So this film is directed by David Ayer. Now, you're probably familiar with some of his other work he produced. Training Day, which is an excellent film. He also wrote and directed End of Watch, which is also an excellent film. And he also wrote and directed Fury, also an excellent film. Basically Saving Private Ryan in a tank. Excellent. He has done some other stuff which I haven't seen, but based on those films, I was really excited to see what he was going to bring to the DC cinematic universe. So following on from Superman's death at the end of Batman v Superman, Amanda Waller, a government agent played really well by Viola Davis, convinces the government to let her put together a team of misfits, which are basically comprised of Batman's villains. You've got Deadshot, who's the world's most wanted assassin who never misses, played by a back-on-form Will Smith. Then you've got Harley Quinn, who is an ex-criminal psychologist who's turned into a sex bomb loon, played brilliantly by Margot Robbie. Jai Courtney puts in a surprisingly funny turn as Captain Boomerang, an Australian bank robber. Jay Hernandez plays El Diablo, a Mexican gangster who has the ability to control fire. Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje plays Killer Croc, a human crocodile. And Cara Delevingne plays Dr. Moon, who gets possessed by a witch called Enchantress, and pretty much spends the entire film going, Enchantress, Enchantress. So sure enough, a villain arises and the team reluctantly assemble to take him out, all under the supervision of a military expert called Rick Flag, played by a very bland Joel Kinnaman. But he is backed up by the really cool Katana, played by Cara Fukuhara. I'll come back to her in a minute. Fukuhara. So as you can see, there's a lot of characters to contend with, which ultimately means that the first 50 minutes to an hour of this film is pure exposition, with Amanda Waller's character literally going, "You're Deadshot, you're Killer Croc, you're Captain Boomerang, you're Enchantress. Enchantress." So predictably, the film is largely told in flashbacks, which isn't a bad thing. I would say that the first hour of this film is probably the strongest. Unfortunately, because there are so many characters, I didn't feel like I got to know all of them. The only ones who really have some sort of character arc is Will Smith's Deadshot and, surprisingly, El Diablo. Killer Croc and Captain Boomerang are the ones that get sidelined the most. They are just kind of comic relief, but then they do have some really good one-liners. And I also think that Katana is criminally underused as well. I really like her character, but by the time you're introduced to her, it's like the director was aware that there was so much exposition, because it's literally Rick Flag going, "Hey, by the way, that's Katana. Her sword catches the souls of anyone it kills, and her husband's dead." Oh. And Harley's like, "No, she seems nice." And then you've got Jared Leto's Joker, who's kind of on the outskirts of the narrative. He's doing his own thing and pops up from time to time. And to be honest, I'm not completely convinced by him. Not necessarily by his performance. I just don't think I've seen enough to really say that's a good Joker. As I say, the first act I felt was pretty strong, even though we didn't get to explore all of the characters. It's in the second and third act when things fall into real generic territory. I'm not going to spoil who the villain is, but needless to say, the villain creates an army of henchmen out of all of the residents of Midway City. They kind of reminded me of the things from Pirates of the Caribbean. Having them in it just meant that the stakes didn't feel very high, and coupled with the fact that the city felt really empty, I don't ever remember anyone being evacuated. It just feels weirdly empty. And of course you've got this death machine thing which is shooting a blue beam up into the sky, which the team have got to get to have a fight with the villain. And it just feels like we've seen that so many times. Plus, it really didn't help that the villain is really bad CGI. I honestly was looking at it and thought it was previs. It's Scorpion King bad. Disappointing. So that's my thoughts on Suicide Squad, and pause the video now if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker. I promise I'm not a DC hater. I so badly want the DC cinematic universe to work. I really thought this was going to be the film that did it, that ignited the flame, that everyone could get behind and be like, yeah, it's working. But no, I think my disappointment stems from the fact that they marketed this film as being a really weird, quirky, darkly fun film. Kind of like a Deadpool meets Guardians of the Galaxy. At least that's what I was hoping for. And if anything, I feel like they've played it safe. In fact, I think they've played it too safe. If ever they were going to do an R-rated film, DC should have done it with this. Maybe I am being a little bit harsh, because there are some elements that I did enjoy. Will Smith is really good as Deadshot. Margot Robbie is exactly the Harley Quinn that I wanted her to be. But funny enough, I do have the same feeling that I got from Batman v Superman, in the fact that I feel that DC are squandering their source material, in the fact that they just crammed the Death of Superman story arc in at the end. I feel like they've done it with this as well, with Harley Quinn and the Joker. As much as I loved her performance and the snippets that you see of her backstory, which is a mixture of the animated origins and the New 52 story arc, I can't help but feel that there is actually a film there, a really good film, but it feels a bit null and void now because they've sort of done it in flashbacks, and I'm not entirely sure that I'm satisfied with that. Oh, I would have liked to see more of this. Anyway, I guess it's all reliant on Wonder Woman now. Come on, Wonder Woman, please be good. So thanks very much for watching my review of Suicide Squad. I really do appreciate it, and if you're feeling really generous, please give that video a like. If you're feeling really generous, please share it with your friends and family. Share the lave. Thanks, Puddin'.